seen AI Composer? Is this an entirely new
This
feature?
is all, I have seen, I've read the blog post.
Okay.
And I have seen a couple of like screenshots.
Bits and pieces,
Yep,
bits and
that's
pieces.
it.
Okay.
So you saw some of the images.
Yep, just
on Cognite, I think.
on Cognite.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
so this is the first time I'm looking at
this stuff?
Yes.
Great. So, you want to give background
Go for
context?
it.
Do I sound okay?
Yeah, you're
Happy
good.
on audio? Great. So, Tulip as a product is incredibly flexible, right? This is always the thing people like about Tulips. Like, I can build exactly what I want. This always comes with the but. I have to build exactly what I want. And so, one of the dreams from like day one of building Tulip, I'm sure, is like, can we just take what you already have for existing documentation, make it really easy to turn that into applications? So this is kind of the root of a feature that we released, I don't know, 8 months ago?
It's like, whenever I'm using an agent, like half my job is just providing context, right? So it's like, what's the context in this situation?
Even more,
we can
maybe
take
80% of your job is.
I know,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like in the manufacturing context, there's actually so much documentation. There's like a little bit too much in some cases. And so starting from a blank app is like, you're wasting a lot of opportunity, right?
So the vision was to start with documentation we already have and force multiply the building of applications.
Exactly.
How do we get going faster and like, don't do the like, I need to translate this document into an app. That's not worthy of human ingenuity. Let them do the more complicated things that matter for their process, but help get it into Tulip.
Yeah, and we're talking about a scale of like hundreds to thousands of these documents in a lot of cases. You're talking about a global enterprise and many languages and what have you. And so this is the root of a project that we started about a year ago and has been available for about 6 months, called AI Composer. And you heard the problem statement, right? Really the goal here is to make it really, really easy to go from documentation to applications. So
now we've had, well, Pete's pulling this up, we've had customers want this for a while. Hey, I have my PowerPoints, my PDFs, can you just make an application for me? And we didn't think the tech was there because we didn't want to do paper on glass. Okay, we could take this and algorithmically turn this into a Tulip app, and it would be the world's worst Tulip app.
Yeah.
It's not worth doing.
One page equals one app. You want your headers and footers. Yeah, we're gonna smash those on.
Exactly.
Just put a bunch of images on a bunch of stuff. It's like great. You'd have a PowerPoint,
Yeah, exactly.
And you'd have cases where one instruction is split across 2 steps and what have you. And this is where like generative AI became, a pretty unique opportunity to actually, pretty deeply understand what's happening in this document. And again, this is doable for one customer. It's pretty hard to do it for everyone's documents, and we talk about life sciences and data collection and images and videos and like all of the different permutations and styles of headers is the root hard problem here, right? So generative AI is actually really good at taking this raw extracted data and identifying, this is the shared header across every page. You probably don't need this. Or this image is associated with that step, even though they're on different pages. And giving you a really good app representation of that content, right? So like Mason said, we're not just taking page 1 equals app step 1 and cut across instructions, cut across images, what have you. But actually understanding what's in that document, right? So we get
reasoning through, so it's not a one-to-one page to step, it's should it be page to step? If not page to step, then which pages to which
what are
steps?
those semantic steps
Correct.
from the content of the application that we want to translate?
Because if the outcome is encapsulated in this work instruction, we have the steps, but we also can reason what the optimal outcomes are, or we can read the optimal outcome. We can then reason what the steps should be, and then design our application.
Exactly. It's like we can encode these best practices directly into that system instruction and how we're processing your document, right? So that system instruction is like there should be one core user action happening on each step. And if you have 2 user actions, it probably should be 2 steps.
Is there any context that Tulip is feeding the agent that helps inform the agent on how to optimally build an application, or are we just relying on the native model to reason through that on its own?
Yeah, so there's a mix of these 2 things. So, as we were building this feature, we collected a sample set of 500-600 of these documents. This became the kind of test set. As, customers continue to adopt this feature set, when we find things that are like sort of beyond the edges of what we've seen before, we usually pull these customers into the fold and add these into that training set. So we're continually making this feature better. The other reality is, we're trying to build...
You're training your own model?
So we're not. We're actually relying on kind of best in class, but I guess...
like how we test and improve our product.
But, and I think the expectation is the models are going to get better, right? So it's like, how do we build the right structure?
This is what I keep saying all the time. Fundamental difference about agentic AI I'm going to talk about MCP, but the fundamental difference, what most people are failing to understand, is that an integration that we create with an agent, that is, or agents, agent to agent or agent to MCP, those integrations are going to get better as models improve. But when I build an integration, say from application via REST to another application, the outcome will always be the same. It's never, the only thing that would ever change the outcome is the data that's returning from in the result set from the standard API that we're used to. But our outcomes will improve. This is the thing about AI that people have to understand. If what you do is you wait until the outcomes are perfect, it's too late. It's too late. You have to start now. You have to start building that AI infrastructure. And as you build it out, as the models improve, the outcomes will get even better, and you will be poised to leverage those outcomes.
These are the worst models we will use for the rest of our lives.
It's correct. The models will only get better.
And it's an architecture choice.
And you don't have to redo the integration.
Totally.
All you're doing is changing the model.
On a technical strategy, we're like load balancing across all models on a lot of this, because we need to be able to quickly flex and change to the new one as they improve and get better, and we find this one's better here, that one's better there. How do we mix and match?
Yeah, what do you pick? What do we pick for you? What is the right thing for this for the Chrome? Have they seen the VLM timeline?
Yeah,
stuff?
we were just over there. So
this is another case where it's like actually architecture matters, right?
Yes.
Like if you store the underlying video, then I can use a VLM that's not going to exist for the next 5 years to go look at that past
By the way,
data.
this is where I say all data matters. Just because you don't have a use for the data today doesn't mean you don't have a use for it in 5 years.
We're seeing that so much actually in pharma, where they're reporting so much because they have to. They now have reams of human text-based data that was great archival info.
That was a scenario where regulation drove that.
Yeah, exactly.
But the real value is operational in business. It's not regulatory.
Right.
And now it's possible, right? Now we have the tools
Now
to
it's
understand
possible.
this data.
Now
so
we
it's
can
like,
unlock the potential.
Yeah, totally unstructured.
But when you're not collecting it, you don't get to unlock it.
Exactly. Now, we have this like kind of new view for the kind of unique challenges that come with generative AI, most notably when we're talking about the regulated world, right? So, fear of hallucination is really what's driving this experience, right? And so allows me to do a number of things. One, I can look at my source document and look at what my app representation will be and verify all of that content was extracted right? So as I click the instructions, we're seeing the source of all of that information being highlighted on the fly. Again, really the goal here is to give that confidence that what the LLM pulled out of this document is exactly what you need. It's also a place to kind of apply your own preferences. Right, so for example, this is probably a step that's too simple, right? It just has one instruction, there's no images, and it's just a really fast place to come in here. Maybe we're going to combine those two steps, right? So we're kind of combining or addressing the kind of core challenges that come with this new modality of authoring within Tulip.
So this is synergy, human AI synergy.
We call this the Tulip blueprint, like where you're going in and you're keeping the human in the loop, keep them involved in this creation.
And I guess importantly after this point, we're fully deterministic, right? So we talk about, again, human in the loop, we talk about compliance and validation and testing. There's no risk of hallucination after this point because a human...
It's just Tulip.
Yeah, exactly. And so one of the kind of new features here is, as we rolled out and put this in the hands of a lot of our customers, really the core customer we're expecting to adopt this is someone that's pretty new, right? The first thing they want to do is digitize some process, and maybe eventually they're going to do ERP integration or they're going to do UNS integration or what have you. What we found is customers that were early days of Tulip that have very mature deployments across many sites were like, please let me use this. There's been 300 work instructions that I've never digitized because it's too painful. But they have kind of unique challenges in that in a lot of cases they'd actually already built best practices. So they had existing data model for storing defects, and they had existing UI patterns, and they wanted the power of the composer to extract the content, but they wanted to superimpose this onto their best practices. And so what we did is allow just that, right? So as opposed to getting an application that just has my content, I can now combine it with a template application that has all of these best practices. And if we think about PowerPoint, we have these brand templates and what have you. And so initially it's okay, so they want UI, they want their logo to be in the corner, and they want it to be blue. And as we dug into this more, it's actually a lot more than that, right? It is the data model, it is the best practice, it is naming conventions, it's variable naming, it's all of these things. And so we can leverage something that's fully deterministic, the template that they've defined and they're improving, with the kind of capabilities here, right? So
it's such a core part of agentic authoring and building. How do you take the needs of the business into account? And it's what these models are so damn good at, of pulling that in and bringing it in and adapting to the situation in your challenges.
Yeah.
You have what, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Can we jump to video? Because I also want to get you into
Yeah,
the
totally. So, the output would end up being an application, and I can actually show you what that application looks like. Go back to our app. You can see we've run this document once or twice. We can see all of the details that's actually been extracted, as well as cases like the specific images. I don't know why we're not seeing them here. I wonder if they do.
This is the tool.
Yeah, just sort of resnaps. So we can see, again, we've built actually a decent app representation of this. Now it's pretty simple, but that's in part because the limitations of a PDF.
Point, not the end.
Yeah, exactly. Now,
Well, it demonstrates the art of the possible.
Yeah,
which is the important
exactly.
part.
Now, the logical extension here, which was a little bit surprising to us, is like customers came back and they're like, yeah, we have documents, but they're all like out of date, or we don't have a document for that process. Really what we want is like, I don't want to document it just to put it through the machine to turn it into an application. How can we like streamline that like end-to-end experience? That's what we're demoing here, right? You just, there's the background context on Composer. And in short, what this allows you to do is go directly from video to application. So I'm going to walk through, a process. We can see I'm recording video here. Those recording audio. I'm going to walk through the process of cleaning this machine. So take the lid off the machine, turn our knob, take our hopper off. Now we're recording audio and video, and we're going to end up using that to sort of inform the application we built. I'm going to uninstall my burrs, so I'm going to raise my handle, turn it to the left, take my burrs out of the machine. From my toolkit, I'm going to take my brush, brush out around my burrs, and then go ahead and install them back into the machine. Make sure they snap into place. Make sure if I pull up, they don't fall out, and then I'll go reinstall my hopper. Right, wait for it to drop into place, lock into place, put my lid back on, and put my tools away. So I can take that video that I just recorded and go through that same workflow.
Another important use of OBS.
I love OBS. It's open source software is incredible. So here's our video. 106. Yeah, that's our video we played. Go ahead and upload it again to Composer, and we're going to get an experience that's very, very similar. There's kind of unique challenges with this modality, right? So because we're relying on video, we're using both the audio coming from that video that I've recorded, as well as the video itself. And so this is another case where we're leveraging a VLM to understand, what is this environment, right? I didn't talk about a coffee machine, but it's going to know that's a coffee machine. I'm removing a thing called a burr. This is the hopper. This is where the grounds go. And so it's going to enrich these instructions with that information that may have not, been spoken explicitly, as well as obviously relying on that audio.
What is the use case? I see the use case. Who is the customer where this is significant enough a problem that they would go, let's invest in this? Give me an example.
A lot of customers
Who are using Tulip.
We've been a little bit surprised.
Like if you're using Tulip, then this is kind of right because it's very you're not using an enterprise platform. You're using an operator platform that supports the enterprise, right? And because you guys are you have a huge install base in manual processes.
We had a customer that came in, been a customer for years, huge deployed Tulip customer. He was like, I'm already actually asking my operators to record video because I'm trying to do training and better applications.
They just put him in the camera roll of the iPad.
Yeah, and he's like, he's going to send to us, and we're going to put him in and give him apps for it as a test and experiment here because he doesn't have an app for it. He has an app for the integration with ERP and checking things out and updating order status. He doesn't have every single work instruction put into, because half of it's just tribal knowledge. The operators are just doing it. And so now he's going to take that and make actual apps for it. And so when he has turnover, he can bring someone else new in and immediately have a full set of work instructions.
Where are you hitting the limits? Where is it in application? What are people asking for that you're like, we probably should steer away from that application right now?
I mean, I think if I sat here and pointed at myself and talked through how our MES works, it would be pretty hard to generate a set of MES applications.
Okay.
And so I think some of this that requires really deep contextual knowledge that the user isn't providing us, or they don't have a document for, are the cases that are really, really hard for generative AI to handle.
It requires discipline to keep the customer focused.
What is the type of application that works well for this, etc.? Where I'd say like burning the LLMs, and we're not ready to show this yet, but is full agentic creation, pulling from library, pulling from the other apps, thinking about whole end-to-end.
Yeah, that's part of what I'm going to talk about is how is agentic AI with MCP being used today, and how will it be used in the future? There's really two primary use cases. One is to build applications, force multiply with applications, and the other is to force multiply with converting data into decisions, using it for data analytics. Data analytics is how people are using it today, but really building applications with agents is like visualizations at the end of the day are going to be built on the fly.
Absolutely.
Right? The agent's going to build them on the fly from an instruction set. You know, rather than you creating an instance of a visualization that we're going to store in some type of view, it's just going to be built. Like the compute will get so fast, it's going to happen, in a millisecond.
This like KPI Christmas tree of like lower level KPIs that go into middle level KPIs that go into upper level, and it's like there's 10 at the top and 1,000 at the bottom. And the only reason we don't look at 1,000 is because it's too many numbers. It's like, can you just have an agent that's going and reviewing and doing exploratory looking into the data that you're producing?
Correct. It's like high performance HMI. When you were building high performance HMI, in the old days, the idea was to use color to only draw your eye to the thing that was most important. You could have 1,000 values on the screen, literally in oil and gas. Sometimes you have 1,000 values on the set point and current process variable. But you use high performance HMI to draw. We use color to draw the eye to the thing that you need to see. Well, what are we going to use agents for? We're going to use agents to only show us what we should be looking at. At that given time, instead of having it all in the window.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Pull the 10 that matter out of the 1,000, and then actually get a bunch more context and give me a report on how I should take action.
We should pull up the agent summary.
So you guys want to look
summary
at it?
agent? Yeah. Which station? This one?
Any of them.
So you also saw we're launching agents yesterday. We had 15 app power users of Tulip in the office to build agents themselves. We told them it was an AI building challenge, and they got in here like, hey, so we're launching a new feature today, and you're going to be using it all day. It was a lot of fun. Man, the things they built blew us away, like how quickly they got up and going, and we're like, I know to do, these are all the things I want. But what we're talking about is that handover of what happened today, what does the next shift need to know. One person was like, I'm spending 2 hours a day building this report, and I just did it in an agent and it has it and I'm ready to go. Like, it's so valuable
And which is what I'm going to show. I'm going to show how I manage my business in the morning by saying, build my dashboard for Tuesday, October 8th, 2025.
Exactly.
Or Wednesday, October 8th, whatever.
Yeah,
and then it's going to build a 2-page dashboard that shows me all the KPIs from month to date right now, plus from my email, what are my meetings for today, what are the things I need to focus on.
Well, and I think the interesting thing is allowing you to go even deeper and really drill down directly into that data and unlock the insight and what are the areas for opportunity, and it's not even just the reporting, but then the iterative deep dive into that.
The big thing is, what should I be working on? The real problem is not the task. The thing I don't want to ask the agent for is give me my dashboard. It's more, what do I want the dashboard for?
What do I need to know?
Which is what should I be working on?
Exactly.
So now what you really should be saying to the agent is, what should I do for the next 2 hours? In 15-minute sequence.
What's exactly what's the action I should take, right? Here's the next steps I should be taking. Here's the trend that my agent is giving. We can look at the top level data of some of my KPIs.
And this form takes what? So in Tulip, we have a workspace, and then we're going to an agent builder, and then we're saying we're going to build an agent, and that agent's going to have an objective. And I'm going to go to that agent whenever I need that objective met.
So we're going to have it in 3 places: full page agentic chat, in-app chat, so for an operator, probably a narrower scoped agent, right, more directed, and in automation. So as part of RPA, you can also say, hey, every hour you need to do this thing and send this alert, and then you can start to combine deterministic logic with non-deterministic logic, have the best of both worlds.
And what does the agent have access to right now currently? What connectors?
Everything, all connectors, and most things in Tulip on Arena function. We haven't done all right sides yet, so it can't build apps yet, but it can. You can see here it has all connectors, it has all data, it has a bunch of all things from apps. So essentially we've taken our MCP, which we made available a while ago, right? But baked it into here so you don't have to go set it up, manage it, etc. Added a bunch more stuff that we weren't ready to put in the public MCP yet, and attached connectors to it. So hey, I have SAP that I want to pull here.
Total number of potential tools that an agent has access to is how many?
Right now it's uncapped. Our default set of tools is about 110, and it handles
over 100 tools.
Yeah.
Over 100.
And we're adding
That's a lot of
all
tools.
the time.
That's a lot of tools. I mean, most most MCP endpoints, if you've got 10 tools,
Well, and
that's a
then
lot.
this is where instructions and scope for an agent is really important, right? We're calling out explicitly, like, go look at these tables and go use these tools to do it, right? So, like, the foundational issue of MCP, where it's like, there's two different ways to create an order. Do I do it in SAP? Do I do it into a tool of table? Is a thing you can define.
Well, it's just like when you do use the use case of build me a dashboard, right? Give me my dashboard. The mistake most people make is they don't first ask the agent to create a template for the dashboard that should be built, and then pass that template in as an instruction to the agent saying, here is a JSON that defines how the dashboard should be built. When I tell you I want you to build a dashboard, you're going to use this definition, but now you're going to reason through all the data, you're going to hit all the endpoints. You're
But also, it's not just like here's the JSON for it, it's also how do I want my data presented? What style of dashboard?
So
do I
that's
want?
even a level
What's
above.
the-
That's
exactly.
design. It's a design
Right.
What
space.
data am I collecting?
Right.
What is my business problem? Right, like suggest the thing, right? This agent was built by going to another agent and saying, I want an agent that's going to work on this specific process. Figure out what the prompt should be for this
create
thing
the
for my daily
instructions.
reporting. Right? I care about what the core actions are. I care about it for my quality team, and I care about it for my production supervisor. Right? That builds me this prompt that's like a bit of an essay, but it doesn't matter, right? It like was built on the fly.
Well, it has to be written once.
Exactly. And then I iterate on this thing and I go deploy it to many, right? And so, really trying to work around some of these limitations when you get past 100 tools, which is generic tool descriptions is not adequate. They actually need to give it additional business context of which metrics do I care about, which tables do I care about. That's my development
The
defects
reason why is
table.
because you don't want the agent going through all. When you have 110 tools, that means you're going to have overlap in the resulting data sets. I mean,
Exactly.
and that's going to create hallucinations. You really want it to only retrieve. You want it to be using the tools, not browsing the tools for
If you scroll down,
content.
obviously we have like, hey, this one requires human approval to run this. Obviously, all of this works with permissions, so you can't do an action through an agent that you don't have permission to do yourself. So it's not a security risk.
Yeah, I mean, there's a foundational thing here, which is like we expect one engineer to make the thing and hundreds of people to use the
Now
thing.
you get to overcome the limitations of security and MCP because
Exactly.
The
Lord knows
authentication,
there's
and
a
we
lot of-
manage it.
Yeah, you want
there's
your
basically
OAuth?
no security in MCP.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, you got your like OAuth with SAP that's working for an agent for a user. And
Yeah, we were just talking about how it's, the Anthropic's idea for security was spin up the MCP server in a container only as you needed to use it and then take it down immediately.
Crazy.
Because that's not a security strategy.
And like, if you're going to give this to an operator, you don't want it to accidentally be able to create a table, and then the operator and only prevent it in the prompt, and the operator to accidentally work around that. Like, you need a hard permission rule there. So,
yeah, it's that balance of control and flexibility.
And so how will you go to market here? So how are you going to demonstrate the art of the possible to the end
So,
user?
a great question. We're launching a bunch of agents in library with the initial launch.
Okay.
So all of the like 4 main use cases we found. Now, of course, all of them you download, you change, you tweak. Like, for example, that top left one there, solution design expert. People are so excited for this. Like, here are our best practices. We already have it in a document somewhere. We're just going to paste it in here, and now we can use this to review everyone's apps, which is perfect for us because then immediately that's going to turn into creating apps with that context, with that architecture.
But also it's going to reduce the amount of time you guys have to spend supporting other people's apps.
And it just like changes how you build, right?
Yeah.
Like put this in the hands of the engineer and let them run it 100 times as they're building their application, not at the end, and then finding out that they need to go do a bunch of rework on this thing. Right? So just like empower them and you change the way that they work.
What was the coolest thing when you brought everybody in? What was the coolest agent that someone built?
Good question.
Like where you were like,
There was,
since you own the product,
There
you're
was
like,
someone doing scheduling, like trying to manage order timing on a shop floor in tables with an agent. Scheduling's such a hard problem because at the end of the day, it's always some guy with an Excel sheet.
and why is it always a guy with an Excel spreadsheet? Because it's such a hard problem to
I
solve.
know, but
That's
it works
why.
so well in here.
When it's like when we think about scheduling, we're talking about like different time horizons, right? There's like forecasting, and we're talking 6 months from now, or the next 3 months. And this is like the land of like your APS, right? Go to your ERP, and they're gonna like give you this perfect 10,000 permutations, and this is exactly the one you should do. And then there's the other end of the spectrum, which is like, what do we need to do right now? And somewhere along the way, the ERP is always lost.
And there's one other element in scheduling, and that is
the rules apply until the rules don't work, and then we break the rules.
Yeah.
We break the rules so that we can
run the business.
so we can run the business.
Yeah.
Like, we're never going to not produce because there's a rule
course.
in
That
scheduling
would
that
be
doesn't
so-
allow us to produce.
exactly.
Right. That's one of the biggest issues, and agents can reason
Be
through that.
flexible that way.
Agents can reason through that and go, you know what? I know we have this rule, but we should consider working outside this
Hey,
rule.
I think the value to us
Right.
of breaking this rule will be worth it. Here's why.
Yes.
Do you want to do this? Confirm. I put it in
and
the
then
queue.
and then the human being says, yes, let's do this.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, so it's like, can you take that person that's running the Excel sheet today and make them 10 times as efficient by having an agent that's giving them a suggestion based on the rules and value system that you built, but also giving you that flexibility to reason.
All right. So coming next. So what is? So people who are working with Tool now, what's coming next?
So
Like,
this is in closed beta starting now. We're working with initial development partners, testing, improving, etc. It'll be an open beta by end of the year.
Okay.
We're going to bring it into onto all of the interfaces I talked about. We're also bringing it into in-context chat in Tulip. So I'm in an app and I have a little agent in the bottom that understands where I'm operating, what I'm looking at, all of that to help start thinking about how do I create apps. And this is where what we showed you with Composer starts to merge in here,
Right.
and where we try to understand your other solution architecture and start to bring into how do we grow what you can produce from one app from one video to 10 videos, 3 PDFs, and 5 other apps into your 6th and 7th app, and that respect your data model and have a full creation experience that understands all of this.
all right, awesome. This is sick, man.
Thanks for the time.
Appreciate
Thanks
it,
for
man.
coming by.
Thanks, Mace. I appreciate it.